completion of his consultation with various stakeholders in the media sector over the change, has decided to visit your organization as one of the country. And today he's been accompanied here with him is Mr. Shegun Adeyemi, who is
Chairman and members of the board of Rariya newspaper. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it gives me extreme pleasure to welcome my brother and friend, the Minister of Information, Alhaji Lai Mohammed, who both we have had our relationship dated a couple of years back. We even had done a couple of umrahs together.
That's correct.
So, and I've always known him to be one of the exceptionally hardworking and diligent Nigerians, and as manifested by this visit today, and very innovative as well, because this is the first time that I know in the history of this country, perhaps, or in recent memory, where the minister has been going around and has decided to visit the indigenous language newspapers. It's maybe the only time it has happened was when the icons of indigenous language newspapers were in print, Gaskia, Tafi Kobo, and Irohin, and from the archives you can see the Sardauna and our political fathers were going around making sure that the indigenous press attention is being paid to them because of the cardinal importance they hold in communicating to the large population of this country. Rariya, as all of you may know, is a Hausa newspaper which we started about 4 years ago, and not that because we cannot do an English paper or double into the English language, but because we thought we needed to communicate to our people, and so most of us volunteered, myself and my colleagues here, to start this newspaper. And before I go on, Mr. Minister, permit me to introduce the team at Rariya. On my immediate left here is Dr. Awalu Anwar, who has been in academia for more than 20 years or 20-something years, been a university lecturer, and is in history. His discipline has been history. He also was at one time Secretary of Education in the Federal Capital Territory Administration and Secretary of also Health, and has been in PDP before, and then migrated to CPC, and then finally not in APC. Then immediately to his left is Malang Garbadin Muhammad. Before I give you his present credential, but I have to say that he was the first editor of Daily Trust, a founding editor of Daily Trust, before also starting his own paper, which, as all of us know in the profession, is difficult to sustain, and then has been with Rariya as the foundation director. Right now he is with the Sun as editor at large, but importantly he is the president of the Nigerian Guild of Editors, the current president of the Nigerian Guild of Editors. The next person is Ali Abdullahi, a friend of mine. All of us have been childhood friends, actually. That is when I had the idea of starting Rariya, myself and Ashafa. Then I said, okay, let me populate it with people of like minds. Ali Abdullah has been my friend since 1970-something, 77, when we were in the United States. He was our senior, as a matter of fact, because we were class of 80, 1980. He was there 77, came back and went back 79, and was working in NTA. We were all alumnus of Nigerian Television Authority, because I started my career in Nigerian Television Authority. Ali went and studied in the United States, lived there for a long time, but when I became Minister of FCT, I decided to retrieve him back home, and I made him my General Manager of ASO Radio. Yes, he was editor, the general manager, until he was disengaged, and then started working now as the manager public affairs for Bayes University, but he is also on our editorial board. Tanjuma Abdul NTA 1979 together, you know, and he went to University of Georgia. I stayed in California, went to Cal State Long Beach. I went straight back into academia, but we had wonderful moments in NTA from 79 to 80, 81. But he was with NTA as a newscaster, ended up as a newscaster, senior reporter, but retired also, and then he started his own stringing business with lots of international media, press, TV, and so on and so forth. And he's been with us. The next guy is the editor of the paper, Shafa Murnai, who is a graduate of mass communication, 90?
93.
Oh, I finished my PhD in 92. No, but he worked with several papers, sir. He was editor of Leadership Hausa, founding editor of Leadership Hausa, before coming here, and we started this venture together. Mr. Minister, most people have not been seeing Rariya on the street because we are in a transition right now. We don't know whether we should continue with the print edition or just remain with online, because the appeal of online is so tremendous now. You know, even though our readers that are very, you know, been on us with this, they want us to come back, but it is costing a lot of money, you know, and we are not making any money, you know, in return, you know, because we depend on advertising. The last administration, I lobbied extremely hard, and we started getting one consistent advert from the Office of the Accountant General, that, you know, the monthly allocation, but that we translate in Hausa. But surprisingly, some political heavyweights complained that we were disclosing their secrets in Hausa, and they were getting inundated, particularly the local government chairman, and he stopped. They stopped giving it to us. So, and several others. So it is really difficult to break through. But as I'm talking now, even though we have not gone full-fledged with our web page, but our Facebook page is so vibrant. We have almost, right now, as of this morning, we have about 290,000 consistent followers. And then we have, for the last week, you know, they give you a weekly summary. Last week we had 1.4 million readers following us on Facebook. You know, we had our own dedicated people that follow us. And so on a given issue, if I open to you now, you know, the Facebook, if we put an item, you know, particularly on Oga Buhari, you know, you will see like 1,000 or 2,000 comments, all in Hausa in a few minutes, comments, you know, and people are really reading in indigenous language. They are really reading. So we will soon launch our website. We did it before, and it crashed because the bandwidth we subscribed to was it was over, you know, being visited. So we said we have to get ready. But Mr. Minister, as you know, we are partners in progress to government and to all those that mean well for our country. And in spite or despite our political affiliations or philosophy, what is supreme is Nigeria's progress, and that is why we have decided to carve our niche in indigenous language. Before we will have about 2 comments from our colleagues here, but I wanted to present to you some of our past editions, that I think you and your staff can take form. And,
Where's my own?
So bring
Mr. Beggy.
This was Mr. Minister's interview was conducted in what was it? In in May of 2014.
That's correct.
So, which was about almost 2 years ago.
Yes.
You know, we did a fantastic interview with him, you know, an expose, and then, you know, several that we have had. We did one, the most recent with Mr. President was before the election in 2015, and then the first one we did with Mr. President, a very extensive interview, was in 2012. You know, 2012. Thank you very much, Mr. Minister, for this visit. Kindly permit me to call on the chairman before you speak.
Absolutely.
You know,
Thank you.
the chairman of our editorial board, Dr. Awalu Anwar, and then Garbadin to say one or two words. Mr. Thank you.
Thank you, Publisher. I want to begin by thanking the Honorable Minister for... We are congratulating the Nigerian government for having you as a Minister for Information. The messages of congratulation given to government and its agencies, I think, were more than those that you got. Why? Because people believe... I think you were appointed by 4 things. First, by the people, as Minister of Information, not just Minister. Then by God, then by Buhari, then maybe by your constituency, the media. Mr. Minister, as you know, we are happy that you are in this office. Why? Because you know the in and out of what you are supposed to do in this office. If you are just an educated person, a graduate, maybe of agriculture or history, you may have some problems getting your feet on ground. And if you are just a seasoned journalist, but not a politician, you may also have some gaps. As well, if you are just a politician being appointed for quota sake, then there will be some pitfalls in what you will be doing. We are happy that you are manning this office as somebody who deserves to be there and who knows what to do. You are an asset to the nation, to the government, to the president, to the people of Nigeria, but at the same time you have the greatest burden than other ministers, because whatever you do, we don't expect a slip of tongue in your management. We don't expect ambiguity, because we know you know exactly what to communicate to the people. Having said this, I want to assure you that we know our responsibility as a media outfit, and you know both the government and the media institutions are there to serve the people. And sometimes problems may arise because of lack of information. You see, government, whatever you say in commending or commenting or criticizing a government, is just like a description of an elephant by blind people. Each one will only describe what he could touch and feel. It is only the government that has all the information, they complete the holistic picture. So what we communicate depends on what we have. Maybe because of our efforts, maybe because of the extent to which government brings the press closer to know what to say, maybe because of our love or hate for the government. I'm happy that this government is made by the people. Your greatest defense is legitimacy. You are legitimate. Nobody doubts that you have come through legitimate means. This is your only asset. You may not have elite behind you. You may not have
a big treasury.
You may not have business tycoons. You may not have captains of industry, and maybe even the core civil servants may not be with you, but the people and God are with you. So this is your greatest asset. So what we expect is that there should be an interface. We should have a common ground on which we will know what government is doing, because you don't have any responsibility to legitimize the government. It has legitimacy. All you need to do is to communicate your difficulties, your objectives, your aspirations, your achievements, your challenges. This is what the people want. simply because they put Buhari there, they will not just close their eyes and say, okay, Buhari, do whatever you want. They put Buhari there not because they want his face, not because he's a handsome man from Daura, not because of whatever, because they want shelter. They want their kids to go to school. They want to eat. They want to have security. They want to have all the good things of life that they thought they had been denied by previous arrangements and regimes. So we know you are not God. You cannot do all this, no matter even if you will be there for eternity, because you're not God. So what I think is important is constant flow of information. As much as possible, let people know what you are doing, what you can do, what you cannot do, and why. If people know this, there will be no problem. And then we are happy because you come here, Rariya, from the previous editions, you see, 2 years back, 2.5 years back, we had been coming to you, to Buhari and others. Then we thought we were just doing charity because we believe in God, because we never thought you would actually be where you are today. Now that you are here, I think we have made an investment, and a good one. So I want to say that because your supporters are the ordinary people, the real people that your supporters,
right.
And most of them speak in Yoruba, in Hausa, in Igbo, in Ijo, in Ibibio, in Tiv, and others. So I think there should be a deliberate policy to encourage the development of local languages. Because if people cannot do things in their own language, they still continue to be slaves of a kind. So without wasting much time, Mr. Minister, I want to wrap up my comments by saying that we are very happy you are here. And you are here because you know the nuances of your office. Other ministers, we had difficulty of even going to interview them. We go to their offices. Which paper? Rariya? Right. What is this? It's Hausa news. Okay. You hear from us. We never heard from anybody. So, but you are here because you know the nuances of your office. So we are happy you are here, and we promise to do all we can to support you, to support the administration, to support the Mr. President to the best of our ability. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Please sit down, sir.
I thought that what our chairman, our publisher already mentioned. I think they expressed our minds when they said we appreciate this visit. It shows how confident you are. Coming here is like visiting 1.4 million people who are following us online. That is what you've just done. And number two, a lot of people find you very, very likable. That is quite an asset, but it can also be a liability because the expectations are usually very high. Right now, within the media industry, even though my senior colleague said you are core constituency, I think he probably forgot that you are a lawyer first. I think the general expectation is not that whether you will succeed by the special grace of God as Minister of Information, but how successful you will be, to what extent you will raise the bar, because you've already proved your competence or competencies over the years, from AC, ACN, coming down to ABC. Recently, you challenge anybody to tell you whether you said something when you were in opposition, and now you are saying different, something different. To the best of my knowledge, nobody has come up to say, yes, this is what you said, and this is why it is wrong. It is a very, very rare gift. I congratulate you. I wish you the guidance of God. And finally, I'd like to just mention this issue, which Mr. President mentioned in his maiden media chat about challenging and telling journalists to do investigative journalism. this has been there. It is one of the fundamentals of journalism, that you investigate so that you get your facts right. But because of certain challenges, I think government needs to assist journalists with special interest. So far, since the unfortunate murder of Delegiwa, through the assassination of the former chairman of the editorial board of this day, I think, to the murder of the former editor of The Guardian, I don't think up to this date these murders have been solved. So if you can kill a journalist and just walk away, you are limiting the strength of the journalist to delve into anything that is dangerous. That is where Mr. President should provide special cover, special attention, because journalists are by nature vulnerable. It's not that the life of a journalist is more important than the life of any ordinary Nigerian, but the danger is not small. It's not the same. So kindly prevail on Mr. President to at least pay special attention to previous crimes against journalists, and where there are threats, where journalists are facing threats, these threats must be taken seriously, because journalists face threats not because of their authors, but because of the work they do. Therefore, they are representing the people. The current statistics are revealing, I think, according to Reporters Without Borders, in 2015, about maybe over 200 or 207 journalists were killed. Worldwide. I don't think that in 2015 there was anyone in Nigeria that was killed. But worldwide, because they said Reporters Without Borders, so they could be Nigerians.
Yes.
And incidentally, over 60% of them were killed in areas that were considered peaceful. Those that died in war-torn or war-ravaged areas were very, in fact, only about 10 or 15 died in Iraq, Syria, and Libya. So you can see that the dangers are there, not because you are covering dangerous or you are covering war, but because of the personalities and the issues you are pursuing. In that respect, I had the privilege of seeing it before, and now that you are so close to us, I'd like to emphasize again that you should please prevail on the federal government to give journalists special interest. When a journalist is, or receives, even if it is a joke, receives a threatening text message, phone call, or verbal intimidation, that must be taken as a very, very serious offense, because it is like threatening the entire people that journalist is reporting to. So without wasting too much of your time, I'd like to join my colleagues in welcoming you and thanking you and wishing you a very, very successful tenure, which we all anticipate.
More than a decade ago, myself and Dr. Modibo have struck a relationship. Very strange one, I would say, to the extent that even as Minister of Federal Capital Territory, we meet in Umrah and we just be like brothers. And we continued after. And I must say, this is the kind of politics I think that Nigeria needs. Politics in which you respect everybody's choice and where you cooperate with one another. And I was extremely happy and impressed when Shafa told me that he was the publisher of Rariya. And I said, well, Rariya, are you sure you can take my views? And he said, yes, they can take my views. And that's how I struck the relationship with Rariya more than almost 2 years ago. Now, you see, coming here today, sir, I've also been educated. How am I educated, sir? The quality of the members of the board of Rariya is a pride to any newspaper in the world. We have here accomplished academicians, accomplished journalists, career people who have all come together to say we are now going to invest our time effort and energy and resources in making sure that those who are left behind can also be included in, in governance. Because you are catering for those who normally would have been left behind. Those who either because they cannot speak English or they can't even afford English newspapers. Even they can afford, they cannot even read it. And I'm really very impressed at the sacrifices you are making. You are part of those unsung heroes of this country. You don't want to be like that. But honestly, I'm very impressed with your sacrifice and commitment. You see, nation building, everybody plays his or her own part. We might be the one that people see today, but there are people like you who are toiling, who are risking their ventures, risking their fortunes, risking their lives. Just why? Just so that people can be informed. So I'm really very, very impressed. I'm very grateful to you, and we hope that we can continue to encourage you. Please don't be discouraged. You are going to have problems, challenges. But when you look at those 1.4 million people who are following you, you should know that you must never, never give up. I have been very close to Ashafa. So Ashafa has undertaken, there's no presence of mine that I don't send to Ashafa, and they will translate it to Hausa. We had a very lengthy interview in English, which he very laboriously translated to English. As a matter of fact, we're embarking on a very ambitious project of my manifesto. And I said, this one is going to be too arduous. I'm very grateful, and I thank you for being here today. You see, the thing about indigenous newspaper is that it has many advantages. Reach is one. Because any person, the average Hausa speaking person who understands English will also understand Hausa. So if you can read English, you can read Hausa. But it's not every Hausa speaking man who can speak Hausa, read Hausa, that can read English. And this is where your strength lies. And when you come to a political party like ours, which won largely on the support of the downtrodden, on the support of the grassroots, you cannot ignore an indigenous newspaper like Rariya. We were joking in the publisher's room there, and he told me that they were asking, they don't know who it is it Rariya or Rara that actually defeated PDP. And incidentally, I'm meeting both of them this week. Yeah, because I'm meeting Rara in Lagos. I'm meeting 4 musicians from each geographical zone. Yes. I'm meeting him with other people. Yes, in Lagos, because we want them to also assist us in our Change Begins campaign. These people have huge followership, and they are role models to many people. So we intend to leverage on their popularity. They will be our change ambassadors for the Change Begins campaign, which we are going to seek your help. I want to assure you, sir, that this administration will encourage patronage being given to indigenous newspapers. We would want you to guide us also in what form you're going to take. Now, if there's anybody who's giving you patronage before that has stopped, please, I volunteer to take the matter up. And of course, all my big directors are here too. We make sure that whatever, especially when we started our Change Begins campaign, or our anti-corruption campaign, or the National Security Awareness campaign, which is ongoing, would gladly include you. But again, we'll ask you also, as citizens, to contribute and give us some free pages, especially in our campaign against corruption and our campaign against national security awareness. Incidentally, just a few hours ago, I launched, our campaign against corruption. And what I'm intending to do here is just I will leave the copy with you. But I think for the purpose of those who are here, I will just, give me a few minutes to please read the text of the press conference which I addressed, this morning. Good afternoon, gentlemen, and I thank you very much once again. And I welcome you. I think I forgot to please say Happy New Year. I don't think it's belated. We are still in January. Happy New Year. Thank you very much. I'm happy to inform you that sometimes last year we decided to launch a national awareness campaign, a national security awareness campaign. This was necessitated by the fact that we noticed that Nigerians did not see the Boko Haram war in its true perspective. For many, it was a war for the northern part of Nigeria alone. For some, it was a war of the military. But the honest truth is that the Boko Haram insurgents have adversely affected the lives of every Nigerian. It is true that it is those in the northeast that have been in theater of war and have borne the brunt of the insurgency. But really, it's a national issue. And after my visit to Bama, and I saw the efforts of our very gallant soldiers, I realized that the military had achieved their own portion of the war. It was only left for us as civilians to do our part. Because we must give credit to the military that they have, within the short period of 7 months, fatally decimated Boko Haram. Boko Haram today no longer has the kind of capacity it used to have. Make no mistake about that. We said we are still going to have, some suicide bombing, but by and large, we can safely say that Boko Haram cannot launch the kind of attack it used to launch. And I want to take this opportunity again to thank the media for assisting us in all our national security awareness campaign. And today, Nigerians have taken possession of this war. However, there's another war that we must fight, and that is the war against corruption. I think next to insecurity, the biggest problem Nigeria has today is corruption. So I'm here to appeal to you to please join us to lead the campaign to sensitize Nigerians to take possession of the war against corruption. There is that wrong impression that the war against corruption is just the war of Buhari alone, or that it's a war that concerns only the government. Some people will go further to say it's APC war, and some who are very uncharitable will say it's nothing but vendetta, and that it's a war that we are only witch hunting those who were in power before. I want to say loud and clear here that no, this is not, it's quite nauseating. The war against corruption is a war against all Nigeria. It's a corruption, like the president always said, if you don't kill it, it will kill us. That is why we must take it seriously. I will take the issue of the latest $2.1 billion arms deal. So one thing is clear. and nobody can deny this, that $2.1 billion was earmarked to buy arms, equip our soldiers for the war against terrorism. Nobody has denied that. Two, this money was not spent for what it was meant for. This money was actually spent more for re-election. Now, you see, these are two controversial. These facts, nobody can controvert them. So, I like to say, so far, based on what we know, no one who has been accused of partaking in the sharing of the funds has denied receiving the money. All we have heard from them are ridiculous reasons why they shared the money. One of them said he collected 4.5 billion naira for spiritual purposes. Another said he received 2.1 billion naira for publicity. While another said he got 13 billion naira to pay someone else for the Maritime University land. Based on these revelations, should we now fold our hands and allow these people to go away with public funds? Is anyone thinking about the innocent soldiers who lost their lives just because they did not get the necessary weapons to fight terrorists? What about the families left behind by these soldiers who were sent to their early graves because of the misappropriation of these funds? What about those who lost their means of livelihood after the terrorists overran their towns and villages? What about millions of Nigerians, especially women and children, who are now living in IDP camps? Is it not clear that the cruel fate that has befallen these unfortunate people is a direct result of the misuse of funds meant to fight terrorists? Are these not the true cause of corruption? Talking about the cause of corruption, gentlemen, it is time that we brought into perspective what corruption has done to our nation. What it has done to our people, our international image, and how corruption stifles economic growth, how it hinders the fight against poverty, how it leads to decay in infrastructure, and how it reduces educational standards. How corruption lowers life expectancy, stunts the fight against maternal and infant mortality, and impacts generally negatively on the general livelihood of the citizens. No one is better placed than you, the media, to lead this charge. That is why we have come here today to again rally the fourth estate of the realm to patriotic action. Gentlemen, the situation is quite grim, and the time to act is now. For example, between the period of 2006 and 2013, just 55 people allegedly stole a total of 1.34 trillion naira in Nigeria. Just 55 people. That is more than a quarter of last year's budget. Out of the stolen funds, 15 were former governors who stole allegedly 7 billion naira. Sorry, who stole 146.84 billion naira. 4 were former ministers who allegedly stole 7 billion naira. 12 were former public servants, both at state and federal level, who allegedly stole between themselves 14 billion naira. 8 people only in the banking industry allegedly stole 524 billion naira, while 11 businessmen allegedly stole 653 billion naira. Now, what do these figures translate to in the actual sense? In other words, what is the cost of these stolen funds for Nigerians? Using World Bank rates and costs, if only 1/3 of these stolen funds could be recovered, it would provide 635 kilometers of standard road, dual carriage. In addition, it will build 36 ultra-modern hospitals, one for each state of the Federation. It will also build us 183 schools. It will educate from primary school to university level a total of 3,974 children at the cost of 25 million for each student. And it will build 20,062 units of 2-bedroom flats. This is the money that a few people, just 55 in number, actually stole between a period of just 8 years. If we add what they have stolen between 2013 and today, we're talking about at least 3 trillion naira. And instead of national outrage, all we hear is nonsensical talk that the government is fighting only the opposition, or that the government is engaging in vendetta. Gentlemen, irrespective of political, religious, or tribal leanings, and not minding whether you are PDP, APC, SDP, or Labour, if you steal public funds, you will not go scot-free. Everyone and every arm of government must rise up to be counted in this epic war. It must not be left to the president alone. And like he always says, if you don't kill corruption, corruption will kill Nigeria. There's no better way to say it. As I said, everyone and every arm of government must be involved in the fight against corruption, which is one of the cardinal programs of this administration. Irrespective of what anyone may say, President Buhari is leading this fight by example and right from the front. His unparalleled integrity, his uncommon love of country, and his undiluted dedication to service all put him in a good stead to wage this war. And we must all support him and own the war in order to ensure success. This is not Buhari's war. This is not APC's war. This is Nigeria's war. Equally critical to the success of this war is the judiciary. Unless this very important arm of government, everybody there also joins in waging this war, the penny case of corruption will just drag on until Buhari leaves, even if he spends 20 years. In the days ahead, we intend to carry sensitization program to all the corners of the country, leveraging on the wide reach of the National Orientation Agency, which is the platform with which we reach the grassroots people. We also intend to partner with other agencies of government, especially the anti-corruption agencies such as the FCC, ICPC, and the police, as well as the Presidential Advisory Committee on Anti-Corruption. As I said earlier, we will be working closely with the media in this campaign, and we have no doubt that the media will replicate the support they are giving us in the ongoing national security awareness campaign. We have no doubt that if Nigerians know the true cause of corruption to their lives and well-being, they will be less gullible to swallowing the frivolous, self-serving, and orchestrated distractions from the corrupt people and their benefactors and beneficiaries. We must also be ready to fight back corruption, because when you fight corruption, it fights you back. Gentlemen, this press conference officially kicks off our national sensation campaign against corruption, and I'm happy that I'm using a very veritable platform, which is Rariya, to send this message to all your followers. I thank you very much.
And we'll continue, like you said, to march on, whether we are in print or not. This one
not be effectively achieved if there is no information. It will be Honorable Minister, we thank you very much. My colleagues here, we hope you will come back and see us again. Thank you very much.